Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of BIM Pure Live. I am your host, Nicolas Catelier. I'm an architect, a BIM specialist, and the founder of BIM Pure. We've got a great episode for you today. If you're watching live, you can type in the chat right now where you are watching from. Already, we've got someone from Orlando, Florida, and Jacqueline from Oklahoma. Hello to everyone watching live. Before moving on to the guest, a couple of things to mention. First, we'll say thank you to our sponsor, which is the Guardian plugin for Revit. This is a Revit plugin to help you clean your model, train your teams, and protect your work. And people often tell me that Revit drawings look ugly. It is true by default, but if you do some work, it can be better. And Guardian can help you out with that. A problem with Revit content is often that you have outdated stuff. You try to bring in old stuff into your new projects and you have outdated standards such as text style. In this case, Guardian can help you out to map the old graphic standards, the text styles, to the new one. So you say every time there's this old text standards, map it to using the new one instead. You can scan to see how often the old text or other elements have been used, and then you can sync. And this is all cloud-based. So you have your cloud standards for text and move them to use, move the old styles to use the cloud information. You can compare both and then move all of the information. So it's all cloud-based. You can always ensure you have the most up-to-date information. You can do it for almost every element. You can do it for fill patterns. And the more you do it, the more it gets intelligent, because for every mapping, the next time that you bring a model that has certain type of information, such as old patterns and old text style, they will be updated to match the new ones. So you don't have to worry about bringing old stuff to your new Revit projects or template, because with Guardian and the cloud standards, everything will be automatically matched. Then we apply the cleanup, and you can see that the old style of drawings are automatically matched to your new styles instead. You can see everything is cleaned up. That is the power of Guardian. Learn more at getguardian.tech. And thank you so much to Guardian for sponsoring this episode of BIM Pure Live. Oh, check them out. Let's see where people are watching from. We've got a Bart from Amsterdam, Netherlands. We've got Stephen from Jacksonville. Someone from Grenada. Larry from South Dakota, Montreal, London, Buenos Aires, Denmark. Thanks to everyone for watching live. Keep telling us where you are watching from. Always interesting to hear. Couple more things to mention, then we'll move on to the guest. What do we have here? Yeah, we have lots of new content on BIM Pure, especially during this winter for our members. We had a series of events, 2 live masterclass with Brian McKee about keynotes and tagging. We've just released a brand new casework collection, and next week, we'll have a series, starting next week, a series of 2 episodes with Paul Oben, legendary Revit teacher, and also the creator of the sample Revit model, the Snowden Towers. So Paul will be joining the BIM Pure members to talk about how to model that. That's only for members. You need to be subscribed. And yeah, that's with Paul. And also make sure to check out our new casework collection. It's been in the works for a long, long time. High quality, lean, efficient families to model all your kitchen and bathrooms project. All right. I think that's it for the announcements. Let's keep up with where people are watching. We have Turkey, Calgary, Lexington, Egypt, Somalia, Oslo, Germany, someone else for Egypt. All right. Let's move on with the guest. So today's guest is the innovation lead and a BIM specialist at Dark Arkitekter in Oslo. And this is Maria Makri. Hello, Maria. How are you doing?
Hi everyone. So it's so crazy, Nicholas, like to be honest, because I feel like your like platform and your blog was like the first thing that I kind of found on the internet. And I was like so surprised that someone was like doing beam so aesthetically. So I'm very, very happy to be here today.
All right. Thank you for that compliment. Yeah, glad I've been helpful. And yeah, trying to bring a little bit of good graphic design to the BIM world, which can be a bit flat. Our, I want to know how you got interested in BIM and innovation, technology, and architecture. Can you tell us a bit of your story?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like my story is like very like how maybe half of the people into BIM world started. I started like just got my architecture degree. And then I kind of got that one in Spain, and then I moved to Norway, and there Norway was like already BIM was so strong there, so you just don't start a project. Like already when I started working, you don't start a project without BIM in it. So, it's like it just happened that we were using Revit at the moment in the office where I started. So I just started being interested in to see, okay, what is this tool doing in the background, you know? So it's like not just understanding kind of what we're doing every day, but yeah, started understanding like what's the backstory here and then you start gigging, I guess a bit into it, and then suddenly you become a beam person in the office. But then I kind of like from that small interest, I decided that I wanted to take like a postgrad in it, so an education. I am like a huge advocate of organized kind of educations, just because kind of it works for me. I feel like every person has its own way of doing it. Just works for me in that way that um, um, like when you have kind of like go through this process that they set for you, then it really helps. And also you can like go really deep, really in like a very short time. So kind of that really helps, I feel like. So yeah, so kind of the same thing happened again when I got interested into AI. Just started testing things on your own, and then I decided to go into an education also in that.
Yeah, before moving on with your little presentation that you have prepped out, I want to learn more about this organize program. I know you have good programs in Norway. Can you talk to me a little
Yeah.
bit
I'm
what it was
actually I
like?
didn't So I didn't take any of my post education in Norway actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
So they're both Spanish academies that you can take them online. So it kind of worked really well because I was working and taking the masters at the same time. So that worked really well. So I could take them in the afternoon.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the first one I took during COVID. So that was like kind of the only thing you could do, I guess. But then the second one I'm also taking the same way.
Okay, and so that was for BIM. Are you doing something like that with AI as well, or this one is yeah?
Yeah, I'm also doing that. I
And what?
just realized kind
Yeah.
of because AI is like this area, like you can go into it, but I really have no idea. I also kind of just to say I got into Beam, but I'm not like super into programming on like even like Dynamo or Grasshopper. I'm not like super into that, or I was not at the moment. So that when AI came and it's like with no programming, you're like kind of handicapped in a little bit, or you're like very, um, yeah, you stay short in that if you don't have programming
Hmm.
understanding at least. And even though like now with this LLMs that say you can really like go into it and really you don't really need coding, but it's not very nice to understand like kind of to understand what's happening behind it.
Yeah, 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 for sure. I'm not a programmer, but I've tried to understand at least how the Revit API works,
Yeah.
uh, or at least the key features. So when you talk to developer, or when you're using Dynamo, or when trying to vibe code, you at least have some understanding of it.
Yeah. I
Uh,
kind of tried to avoid it like for a long time, and now it's like, okay, you actually need to know a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I know you have some stuff prepared. Let me move to your screen. There you go. So we can see you, and you can see uh, the slide you have prepared for us. Maybe you can talk to us. I don't know if it's part of the presentation about the dark architecture.
Yeah, sure.
What you
I
do, what kind
actually
of
did not
projects. Okay, good.
I didn't include that in my presentation, which is very dumb. But I so we're let's say that I am the innovation lead of not only Dark Architecture, but this called the Dark Design Group. We're two architecture offices now under it, and one interior and one landscape. And we kind of sit under the same umbrella. So I am kind of working across all the offices, and we have offices like throughout Norway, like Stavanger, Bergen, Fredrikstad, and Oslo. And then yeah, so we're kind of working like kind of together there. We work like both with architecture, interior, landscape, urban scale, small scale, so kind of a lot of different variety of projects. And we are about 200 people. So not
Hmm.
a large scale, super large scale office, but we are kind of, we need systems, let's say,
Yeah, yeah.
in order to make it work. Yeah. Um, yeah, so kind of what I wanted to start with is like this magic button that we all think that exists. It really like I feel like every time I read I'll just skip it because it's a bit annoying. But I feel like every time I read or I see a post on like LinkedIn or Instagram, it's like okay, you just do this and that, and then this happens, you know. And it's like it's really not true. What goes in the backstory of that is like really long, and you have to really go into trial and error multiple times in order for something to work, and then it finally works and then you're happy. But that's not kind of not the reality, right? Um, yeah. So I wanted to kind of start by a small story that how we kind of failed the first time. So in the office we had created now an AI group that kind of tests a little bit of different things. It kind of the group that filters out a lot of the noise and information so that we can kind of so that not everyone has to go through this process. So kind of the first task we took for ourselves was that we wanted to kind of um, create, you know, we have, let's say, the offer team in the office where is the people that write the offer so that we win, let's say, projects for the office.
Hmm.
So in our heads, it was like a job that is really like boring or it's like really repetitive. And that's like half of the story, right? But okay, we kind of took that story that we created in our head. None of us had worked with offers before. But then we decided that we were gonna make a system like based on AI and then present it to the team. So what happened there is that uh, we really kind of did what AI does, and it's that they gives you an answer without actually knowing 100% of the story. So we started hallucinating ourselves a little bit. Yeah, so I just wanted to go kind of through the process. So there was what we thought, there was what we planned, and then there was the actual thing that we found out here. So let's say when we're working with authors, we have, let's say, we thought that the problem was like, oh, it takes so much time to draft and it's to spell check and to grammar check, and then it takes like so much time to kind of format all the CVs and like get the same templates. And then there is this repetitive narratives, right? So kind of what we created here was to give them a full AI review of everything. So we kind of created a closed dark LLM where you have your the dark voice we called it. So that kind of it takes our previous documentation and then it kind of recreates that in some way so that it can give you a pretty like decent draft. So kind of we went to the through the process and we kind of showed it to the team and they were like shocked, kind of, no, not shocked, but like they were not super happy with it, let's say. And the problem we realized was that, you know, architects don't really like to be told an answer. They don't really like to kind of just get something finished. And also, kind of what we thought that, for example, writing was the issue. It was not really because people really like to write these things. And also, um, we kind of forgot to take the first step into listening first before we started doing this. So we kind of presented the solution and then we spoke to them where it should have been the other way around. So there we figured out the problem was um, or like we came up with a solution that was pretty decent. And there, kind of everything that you see now here that is yellow is the only things that stayed that are AI running in the background. So instead of kind of giving a result, we wanted to just preserve the design intention. So kind of we want to kind of create this the tenders, let's say, in a friendly outcome. And so a lot of kind of things that we went back and like corrected when we were working together. Yeah. So kind of when we were going through that, we realized that we do have like really experienced people in the office, and we have been through um, a lot of different things. Like we're capable office, right? So every person has a capable office and a capable expertise behind it. So it's not like just AI came now and we're just gonna reproduce everything we have. But at this moment, we're just taking some tedious tasks or some repetitive tasks, and we're automating them. So that was like kind of the first point. And the second point was that we're not focusing on everything, but we're figuring out where we have limitations and where we can explore. So we still want to kind of test and figure out what other people are creating, but we still want to make some things ourselves. So on this point is like we realized that there is a lot of, let's say, AI startups happening right now that um, not every startup, let's say, is has behind it like a really experienced person on what they're doing, but they have like, let's say, a lot of knowledge on maybe software development, but then they forget about the expertise, right? So we wanted to kind of split these 2 points so that we know that we're on one hand like filtering out like what is off the shelf, and then we're figuring out where we can explore stuff.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
can I ask a question? So what it seemed that you
sure.
thought AI could do the whole proposal, but some parts it either hallucinated or the architects were pissed off that they didn't have creative control. So it ended up doing just kind of some basic draft so the architect can complete. Did I get that right?
Yeah, so if I go back, like instead of kind of doing a massive like changing whatever we were doing, we're taking very small tasks. So very narrow tasks, but it's like, okay, we need here, for example, a part of the process is that, let's say one part is that you're writing yourself, right? So there we have already documentation that says what we are capable of doing in like different areas and what is our way, like the best way we do it,
Hmm.
so that we can kind of be able to reuse some information, but also kind of mix it into a new offer, like based on what the client is also asking. Yeah.
That's that's a bit different from what we see on mostly on LinkedIn, which is use this AI tool. It's gonna do everything for you. It's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be awesome. Like we don't hear a lot of like story with humility of what it helped. It was challenging. It was still a lot of work to implement.
Yeah, no, I feel you, it's I feel like a lot of tools are going really big, and then that's when they stop helping you. And
Hmm.
it's kind of, for us at least, it's the same story that happened when Spacemaker was sold in, or like was bought by Autodesk, and then it became Forma. It's like Spacemaker for Norwegian market was amazing. It was like it could do every single thing like on our regulation that we needed. And then it changed into Forma, and then we lost a lot of these things. So it's like now you kind of are like what you need is this, but you got this, but then it doesn't do what you actually needed to do.
So you think Forma is not as good as a Spacemaker?
Not for us.
Okay.
But we still use it. It's not that we don't, yeah.
Hmm. All right. I'll
Yeah.
let you keep going.
Yeah. And then the third point here was that we kind of need to understand also in like enough of what we're doing to not jeopardize our data and our intellectual property. Because I mean, AI is a huge space that we have no clue what we're doing if we don't go into it and kind of set up some statements and some like limitations on something so that we can and like also kind of read the small letters that we always skip. I think this is a really important time to do that. See, there. What? I just can't. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So kind of like what I said before is that how we're structuring is that there are things that we're interested to do ourselves, and then there is things that we're getting off the shelf. So going into kind of how we organized our group is that first of all, it's not an AI group. It's never like one individual thing, but it's kind of a series of things that kind of work together in a nice synergy. So it's our technology and innovation group here where we work with processes, we work with like visuals, BIM, AI, IT, and then we have our learning platform because we really think that we really believe in that education should be kind of spread across the office and not just building silos, but like we kind of share that with other people. And also through a learning platform, it means that if you're not interested in the moment to learn it, that you can always go back and look at it for yourself. Um, yeah, so I'll go kind of a little bit into every single thing, but the general structure is kind of very similar into each group. So we do learn and test things, and this is basically for the team. So we are a team of now 4 people, where each person is expert in one thing. And that I think is where we really win because we already know what we need to produce, and then we just want to use AI to kind of produce a bit faster or like automate some things that we didn't have the possibility before. Then it's about teaching and sharing, and that's like connected to the learning platform. So here is where we teach everybody in the office how to do things. And then the third one is kind of to set up a challenge for ourselves, so to just keep things fun, because we're also learning this. Is nobody who is called an expert, I guess, in AI. Is still kind of a huge space that is changing every day. So we're just enthusiastic about it, you know. So it's very important to keep a challenge here. So if we say, let's say, if we take the AI everyday tasks, then we kind of set up these tasks for ourselves. And the third one is kind of to learn first of all what like the different NLP systems, and that those are like for now and like the LLM systems that we can find, like Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, and all different things that you can find that are already kind of easy to find on internet. And then we kind of create processes using AI, which means that like things that you do every day, right? I mean, this is not just about being, but it's more like, oh, I'm drafting an email, so how can I do it faster? I'm researching these things, so how can I do that faster or in a better way? Or how can I find like all this different information and create spreadsheets and different things like that? And then those information that we kind of find, we just share it. And a challenge here will be to kind of create this internal LM based on RAG system, which helps to keep the information centralized. And also it helps with the hallucination that we find a lot of times on LLMs. And also kind of you get the very specific answers also because it's like a RAG system is kind of only learning from what you feed it. So that's kind of much safer way to do it.
And so your RAG system, we did talk about it a little bit with Christopher Parsons from Knowledge Architecture, where he helps architects build intranet using RAG, which means there's less chance of hallucinations. So
Mm.
how does that setup look like for you? It's like an internal company chatbot that doesn't hallucinate, or at least it's a
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah, it is like that. It is an internal company chatbot, let's say, which
Mhm.
is it's like if you think about we like for example, if we take BIM as an example, then you kind of feed the BIM manual, and then it would kind of know how we name things, like what is the way we're modeling stuff. So it's kind of when you're asking it, you don't just find like anybody's answers, but you find specific answer of how Dark is doing it, let's say. So that's the idea behind it. But it
And
also kind of in
yeah,
um,
I wanted to ask, so how does that setup look like? Let's say someone watching wants to recreate something like that because they're sick of hallucination. How would one get started with this process?
there are a lot of YouTube videos that you can watch, but it's basically like you can use like platforms like N8N and connect it like through different nodes. I think I have a video at the end that shows a little bit how it's done,
Okay.
so I can show it later.
Okay, cool.
Um, but it's not like it is what I was saying is that you can see it done very easily, but it's like it takes some time to get into it, especially if you have not built anything with N8N or like some assistants before or agents, then it takes some time. But it's like there are a lot of YouTube videos that you can watch and kind of just build it something small
Mhm.
to see how it works. But also kind of here, I wanted to say that like very important thing here was to build this AI privacy statement because that's like very like I feel like we have skipped these privacy statements all our lives, and now it's very important that we read them. So we kind of built the system here of how we are working with privacy, and it's that we kind of keep it on 4 levels. Uh, so we don't want to kind of restrict anyone in the office from using AI, but we want to kind of help them use it, but we want to give some guidelines of how it can be safely used. So we have kind of it's connected with like what data you're sharing and what type of system you're using or what type of platform you're using. So it's kind of having in mind both the two things. So for example, level one would be that your data is already publicly available. So it's not like you're not scared to share it, and then it's intended for public release. The second one would be that data is meant for internal use only. But then you would not cause significant harm if disclosed. And then the third and fourth level are kind of where you have confidential information about your clients and kind of some guidelines here, how you can deal with those. And also what platforms you should not use or yeah. Um,
I know if I can interject, I know a lot of firms, like individual, will use AI tools without being
yeah.
in the company's system. How do you deal with that? So do you have policies like you're not allowed to use any AI tools that are not using the setup of the architects? How does that work?
Yeah, so for example, if you for that's why kind of trying to build the systems that are like more closed. Um, so that kind of when you need to review, let's say a document, the way we do it is that you kind of remove your client data before you share it anywhere. And
Hmm.
if it's a project that you know it's like um, it has kind of disclosed information, we kind of try to not share those. Or you can just also kind of clean the project so it doesn't look like it's a project. Um, so it's not kind of findable if you're searching for that.
All right.
I cannot really control everyone like what they're doing,
No,
but
yeah.
we're giving guidelines. Like I feel like the moment if you don't give guidelines, then you're not kind of allowed to say, oh, you did it wrong. But if you do give guidelines and people don't kind of adhere to them, then it's easier to kind of point fingers, I guess. But also, it's not only about pointing fingers, but it's also about understanding what is wrong with it, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, so going forward, like our second system here would be the visualizations, and here we have like the colleague working on this. She's an expert in visualization, so she does a lot of um maybe higher level on just a client meeting, so they can be published. This one, so they're quite high level visualizations that she creates. Um, so here it was like just again following the same structure. We do test some tools that we find off shelf, but we also test kind of maybe not the whole tool, but we test like small things. Like for example, with Photoshop, we can already do a lot of things. So we try to keep kind of the process that we already had before, which is like, you create the maps, you like go back and forth in different tools to find the best way of using it so that you have control of it. Like if you ever want to change, let's say, the facade, then you can change the facade very easily on a different platform after. And then we are keeping those like structured into documents so that people can share them. And then to set up a challenge here would be that we create a diffusion model based on LoRa so that it's learning from kind of our graphics, and then it can recreate images much faster. So I'll share some examples here. So for example, this is kind of how we work with. We just take the maps right out from the program we're using. And I think this one is D5. And that gives kind of a lot more control than just using kind of just a screenshot from the program that we're using or just like a flat image. And that also kind of allows after to kind of generate a video. I think this one was created with Veo. So it was like still this was like after we have finalized the image, then we kind of put it into Veo and then you can animate the image for like I think it's 7 seconds. It's very short, but yeah. And another thing we're using it for is let's say if we want to test different facades or like different like things on a model, then we can just quickly kind of check what we want to check. You can see like it does hallucinate, like it's just creating like a lot of different facades for all the neighboring buildings as well. But the point is here is kind of okay, we understand that it's hallucinating, but what we're focusing on is the top of the building. Um, Yeah, so that's for the Laureate challenge. Let's say what we have in mind, for example, Xfigura is one of them, that it has a really nice and friendly user interface. So you can really like go in and build your own like different um, LoRa systems here. So you can like even create images to render, or you can build kind of your library. Like that's what we wanted to do. And another one is Config but like for example, they kind of do a lot of the similar things, but Config lets you, it's more techy, so it kind of has more capabilities.
That one is a bit like Dynamo for like AI renderings, right?
It is, yeah. It kind of used a lot by artists, this one, so it's kind of allowing you to create a lot of things. Yeah. And then if we go forward, let's say to BIM and automation, here is where I'm nerding out. Because I feel like with like what I said before is that I don't have a lot of programming knowledge, but I'm trying to kind of understand how things can work without it. So I I really try to kind of from let's say zero knowledge on like programming, I managed to teach myself with Claude how to do a lot of things, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people can do. I never knew what an MCP server was before, but then now I do.
And wait, so you use Claude to learn about it just by asking questions and giving examples, or
Yeah. Yeah, so in Claude you can build, let's say projects are
projects?
called, so you can kind of tell it that you become my teacher, let's say, on this. And so everything I want to do is not like a recipe that you do this and this and this, but it's kind of explaining every single step on the way. So kind of I also learn by doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so here we wanted to also kind of test different things. And when I say kind of here to centralize information, for example, is that cloud systems. You know, we didn't have a cloud system in the company before, or we having like local servers. And I don't know what other companies are doing, but we realized that, for example, in the first pilot we ran about this offer documentation, one of the biggest issues was that people were spending so much time trying to find projects, just like searching at the local server. So by just putting stuff into cloud and organizing them with tag systems and things like that, then it means that things are much more searchable. You can like literally connect that much easier to an AI system and then talk to it and like literally chat with your documents. So that's really cool.
So how does that work? Using a cloud for it, so it means connected to your server, so you can ask questions. Hey, what about this file? What about this project? And it gives you the information.
Yeah, so it would work if you have used before like a notebook LM. It's kind of a notebook LM but more localized for our company.
I see.
Mm. Um, Yeah, and then again, the courses that we're creating. And then the challenge here for me would be to connect the MCP servers with RAG systems and create custom-made plugins with Cloud Code. I don't know if you've used Cloud Code before, but it's just amazing.
Not I've seen videos about it. I didn't have time to actually. It looks pretty cool. Don't you have to use it from a terminal, right? I think it's can be a bit intimidating for some people.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Now, also, I mean, the MCP servers that you can find now, they're just like mine is from GitHub, let's say. So
Hmm.
they're not like official like Autodesk MCP servers. So
Yeah, yeah,
you have to be a bit careful what you're doing with them.
yeah, yeah. Like I see actually in Nanika tab in the chat, which are also creators of a good
Yeah.
Revit MCP connector through that can use with Claude. Yeah, actually, like we're gonna have in May a live episode with Michael Kilkelly of Arch Smarter about partly about how to use Cloud Code with Revit and BIM. That should be fun.
Oh, that's great. It's really like I think it's like really game changing to use that.
Hmm.
Because you can also kind of, I'll show it now a bit later, but you can also kind of create plugins that are just directly using PyDevid. So kind of, I wanted to show this because we had this issue with the platform, let's say, and I wanted to just show our technology company that is working with us what I had in mind, how our internet would look. So I kind of created this um, interactive kind of prototype, which I think is really cool. So kind of you can just go in. It's just a prototype, so these documents are not real. But you can go in and see kind of what it would look like in my head
Hmm.
and what the learning platform would be like. So that's like this is how my Dark Academy will look like, and then you can create different courses, and then yeah, I think I think it was just really cool to kind of be able to create this when I had no understanding of it before.
Was that made with Cloud Code?
Yes, now it
Cloud
was
Code?
Claude, just Claude. Yeah,
Just Cloud. Yeah, I've
yeah,
used Lovable in the past to create something that vein. We're actually in the process of building our own custom LMS for BIMPure.
yeah, that's
Our
cool.
process, we've used Lovable and AI to create a prototype, but then we're working with an actual dev like to build it. Since you want good foundations, yeah. As I
Hmm.
understood it, like this is good for prototype or maybe just internal tools. If something you're gonna sell, you're gonna make sure that it's solid, so you don't have like security issues or that kind of stuff, and the base programming architecture is solid.
I think it's super nice because it makes it much more intuitive, right? So now I have a prototype that I can be like, okay, I would like to change the font or like even like small things like that, you know, or okay, I don't want my courses to be seen in that way, or yeah, I don't want to like filter them in that way. So it's very nice. It's very visual. I feel like architects are very visual people, so this kind of allows you to be that person. So
Yeah,
that was a win for me. I
yeah,
really like that.
for sure. I think the
Here,
I think that
yeah,
the field of web development and software engineering is going to change a lot. It's going to get cheaper. I think we're going to see more apps. People are going to develop their own applications instead of not
yeah,
for all of them. They're always. I don't think that like SaaS will die as some predict, but it, I think it's going to change a lot.
yeah,
But it's fun because people can build more stuff.
yeah. It also is kind of a little dangerous because it kind of allows you to feel like you're a software developer, but you're not really. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
yeah.
And also, I
But at
feel
least,
it can be a little bit of a rabbit hole. You start playing, it's so fun, you're building stuff, but you can spend so much time, and then it's not always clear if you're actually seeing a return on investment on all the time you spend. But it's fun, it's cool, it's potentially helpful. But
yeah,
like sometimes I have to stop myself. Okay, enough AI playing for today. I have kind of real work
yeah.
to do.
But wasn't it like a thing that we have not seen like AI or like returns from AI investments
Yeah,
as of yet? And yeah, so that will be
yeah.
fun to see.
That's really funny. Yeah, I saw some studies that like people are not, the CEOs are saying they're not really seeing kind of return on investment. I think maybe
Yeah,
people are just spending a lot of time on it, and
yeah,
I guess that's gonna follow with the years. I would suppose. Who knows?
yeah. I don't think anyone knows, honestly. So we're just here testing and
Uh,
having a bit of fun, I guess. Hopefully, we're not getting ourselves out of job, but I don't think so. We'll see
so what is
how
that?
things go. Huh?
What is
This
that?
one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then there is possibilities to kind of connect Cloud Code with the MCP server of Revit, and then you can use like Visual Studio or PyCharm or like different programming tools to kind of connect everything together. And that's where kind of you can use your LLM through PyCharm, and then you can like what you see on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
That's kind of the process of how you do it. Okay, so you kind of have to connect these three together. And then you can kind of filter out the certain elements on Revit or like do certain things. I have not managed to do anything yet, but I was so happy to get this screen up on my PyCharm when it kind of like everything was connected and I got the MCP server on Revit. So I was like, okay, now we're here. So it takes some time to kind of understand what's happening and to connect everything together. The other thing was the like what we talked about before, kind of the plugins. So it's really possible to also use PyRevit with everything so that you can create your own plugins. And I think that's really nice that you can like create a code on Cloud Code and then you can just literally just paste it here into a script and then it works. Now, of course, the problem here is that if you have no knowledge of a programming language and you can create something that you don't know how to fix after. And I think that's what a lot of people are criticizing here.
Yeah, but I guess this is fine if it's like internal tool. You need to automate something. You want something done quick, and kind of cheap and dirty. That works super well. Like maybe it's not
Yeah,
something that you will sell to people, but
no,
look, you're busy on a project. You need to automate something. This is pretty nice. And so you're saying you don't have programming experience. So how was it for you to use these tools?
it's so intuitive that it's so scary because it's like even when you run into an issue, you just paste it back and you say this did not work, and then it just gives you new code. And it's like, and then after like a few bug and forth and like it working with it kind of it just does work at the end. So I think it just takes a bit of like I think what I would benefit from is like skipping a lot of the back and forth because sometimes it's like I misplaced a comma or something, and if I knew that where that comma is, I would know how to fix it. So it's like a lot of things that are very intuitive for people who know programming language. For me, they're not. So it takes some time, but it still works at the end. So I don't know when it will like stop working at which point, but I have managed to kind of build all the tools I kind of had in mind so far.
Yeah, so you managed to make it work.
So that was nice. Yeah,
That's
I need
what.
to work. So I just built like very simple plugins that say I was like, oh, can you transfer my view templates and stuff like that? But it was yeah, just a small test to see how these things are happening.
All right. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I just wanted. I don't know if I know that you have talked a bit about the AI assistants and AI agents, but I just kind of prepared a few slides to go through those.
Yep.
Yeah, so kind of to understand the processes that we have the chatbots, we have the AI assistants and the AI agents. So a chatbot is basically what we had before on the customer service that was working really buggy and really badly when it was like asking, let's say, I cannot find my flight, and then it would just give you this very automated responses. AI assistance is what we see now with LLMs, that you can kind of have this conversation and you can actually get an output from it. You can really get a result. And then we have the AI agents that are like the autonomous ones that they do get instructions from you, but then they kind of decide on the process themselves, and they kind of plan the tasks that are going to perform, and it gives you it doesn't give you an output, but it actually performs the things for you. So right now we are where AI assistants are. That's where we are right now. But AI agents are coming really strongly in our future. So AI assistants, if we were to talk about it like in the architecture terms, it's like the architect will say, okay, I want to find sustainable, cost-effective installation for Norway. And then this would be analyzed, it would retrieve the knowledge, and then it would synthesize the information. It would give you this, that's a table. And then the outcome is that you, as the architect, has to receive the information and you make the decision, right? So you're controlling the whole process here. When we go to an AI agent, it's the moment that you take the decision and you're saying, okay, as a user, you want to update I want you to update the Revit model to Hemcrit. So we decided we to go with Hemcrit installation, and then we're changing that in Revit and we're emailing the structural engineer. So then the agent would think of the plan after getting the instructions from you, and then he would select the tools. In this case, it's BIM modeling tool, so maybe Revit, like we're using, or and the email. And that would like just kind of go in the background. It would connect to MCP servers. It would kind of connect all the things that we talked about before, and it would do it automatically. And
So
then it would.
is anyone actually doing that right now? Like, because I see
Um,
lots of talks, AI agents. I mean, is anyone actually giving a prompt to an agent that opens Revit, does a change, sends an email to someone? It makes me nervous just thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, that you lose a lot of control, and I'm not sure if it is there now, that you can trust it like fully. But if someone is doing it, I would love to hear. I am not.
Yeah,
I'm not
if
that
you're doing
technical.
that in the chat, let us know, because I hear lots of talks about agent, but so far I haven't really
Yeah.
heard people doing that, like in Revit, for example.
But I mean, I would for myself, let's say, think that I would not mind having a draft email already like ready for me to
Hmm.
send, but review it and then send it. I think that's where we probably are now, that before it gives the final like you press the final button, let's say, you have to review it to make sure that the information is consistent. But for example, MCP servers are also quite dangerous, because by doing what they're doing, you kind of skip the undo button. So there, if you do some changes, there is like, okay, just change all windows, and then it changes the windows. You cannot really undo it if that was wrong. So I don't know. I feel like it's really scary.
Yeah, it is, and we're in the field with big liability concerns, so I can see. I'm sure an architect can go to a court and say that's not my fault. It's the MCP server that changed this window.
Yeah. Try that. Um, yeah. So, and kind of where we can find capabilities now with agents. That would be, let's say, possible already now, but the question what we're talking is like, would you do it even if it was possible? I'm not sure. So you can connect, let's say, already like different data into rack system, connect it to the AI agent, even get information from the web if you want, and then be able to kind of perform tasks. And you can connect multiple agents together, which is quite nice also. Yeah, so kind of knowing all that information and going through all these processes, we kind of had to filter which which processes we're going through and which tools we're focusing on, because if you go into AI, you can do like so many things, but you have to kind of filter it out before you start doing things. And for us was that, for example, it's not what's the newest tool, but it's what's our actual problem, and seeing what is our everyday life, what are our processes. And it's like, yeah, of course, processes are not perfect, and we have to kind of realize that just because we have been doing things for years, it doesn't mean that's the correct way of doing them. So we have to be kind of open on change as well. but also not changing everything all at once. And then instead of asking what new tool can we acquire, we say, okay, what expertise do we already have in house? Because that's it's really important. It's like if you skip all the experts you have in your company, then why do you have experts? You know, then we would just outsource everything. And I understand that it's like some things are very nice to outsource, but there are a lot of things that we can also figure out ourselves. And then the last thing is I saw it on LinkedIn, everyone is using it. That's like the Forma kicking in here. And then answering that by what do we actually have genuine interest in testing and achieving? And it's like I think the interest is also quite important because if you're like, oh, I have no interest into learning programming languages, like then it's not for you, you know, just don't do it. It's not a must for you to learn programming in order to use AI. Um, And then that we let people in the team build their own ambition so that each person in the team that we have now has built their own goals in a way so that it's something that they're interested in, that what they're doing. It's not just something like very tedious for them either. Also, it's like another question is like how do we get paid for all the initiatives we have for AI in the company? And I think that's a question that everyone is probably having, like how do we invoice these hours that we're spending? And it's like by having tested a little bit on our own and having the knowledge enough to say if this is a correct way to go or not, then we can like really give results very fast and then be able to invoice them in projects as you would do anything else in a project.
Yeah, there's also the question if, like, hopefully, if let's say that AI helps some save some time for architects, hopefully it's not a race to the bottom. That means that everyone can lower their fees and everyone just get squeezed even more than we currently are, right?
Yeah. I think it's a really, really hard question, honestly, because it's also about where our profession is going. Like lately, it's like really hard to kind of price yourself as an architect, I guess. We're kind of producing value that not a lot of people can see. Like nobody knows the hours you spend on a design, and I don't think everyone understands what hours on designing means. So it's already kind of a hard question, I think, when we're talking about how the business is running. But yeah, the other thing is like when we are getting off the shelf products, so usually they like we're I don't know how it is like everywhere else, but Norway is just booming with like new startups right now on AI. So you get calls like all the time from new people like who are like kind of interested in the space of architecture. So then they offer you a very low starting fee, but then what that means is that you're paying for a product that is under development and you're selling all your data with it, right? So they're getting a lot of information from you, all your expertise, and you're paying them on top. It's like it's just crazy to think about that. So yeah, so what does the answer would be like, what does it require from us to test? First one, like, is it because it's our time we're selling here, right? So it's like, okay, what does it require from us? And also, what are we getting in return? Because it's like, if you say, okay, we're helping them build this tool to be a better tool, it means that you're just gonna sell it back to you even more expensive later on when it is like a tool that is up and running. So it's really like, I don't know, hard question to answer.
And
And then
have
saying,
you
okay, this is
ever have you integrated some like new emerging AI apps? Or yeah, because it's a good point. I feel a lot of the best AI features come from companies that have been out there for a long time, and they're just using AI specifically on specific things when it makes sense and when it can help, instead of being just this is a new AI product, right?
so or Dark was one of the first people who used SpaceMaker.
Space Maker, yeah.
We kind of yeah, which became Forma later. So we kind of made it into, or we made it. I mean, we helped them, let's say, with a lot of back and forth and feedback, um, become the tool that later got sold to Autodesk. And I mean, okay, now you don't pay for it because it is. We are using, let's say, the Autodesk environment, but then means that you lose all the control that you had on it. You lose
Hmm.
this customer support that we had before. Now there are other tools, for example, that we get called, for example, from companies that are okay, I have to be careful how to say that, but it's like companies who are very young people that say freshly out of school who are software developers or like in that environment. And I feel like they find a niche that they understand that there is some kind of possibilities there for their AI startup. So they have no expertise in that area and they just know how to software develop. So that they kind of contact us to give them a lot of feedback so that they can build a platform for us. But it's like you can see that the ultimate goal there is for them to sell that product, right? So
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't feel that even though it's a really cool idea and it would be really beneficial if we had a tool like that, I don't feel like I want to spend all the energy and time and money that we have to make their products, the best products, let's say.
Yeah, it can be a trap in some ways.
Yeah. But if it is a product that does come from experts and they do have like if they have like a few things in place, then we do say yes,
Hmm.
because if you see kind of the like a few of the factors that can be not just a great program for them to sell later more expensively or whatever, but if it's like something that will help us in our work, then we do tend to kind of go with it and yeah, take a test there.
All right.
And also the other thing is that we're focusing a lot of on the Norwegian market just because I feel like customer service is much better, it's much faster, and also kind of the context is much smaller. So it's like they're really solving like a really niche problem that we have, and I feel like it's something that we really benefit from. Yeah, so that about the startup. So about Consigli that got sold um, for 390 million. That's like if it got sold for 4 billion Norwegian crowns, which was insane. We do have like a really large amount of AI companies in Norway, and it's really like strongly funded here. So it is a big scene, I would say. And then we have, let's say, the startup lab that is a hub of like startups, and this is kind of all the startups that are AI based, like under that. I feel like it's just insane how many of them are out there. Yeah, and then I would go into kind of some tools that we did decide to kind of partner with and test. And one of them I think you mentioned before but is Finch that kind of helps automate plans and that really helps with like early phase design. I don't know if I jumped into this too fast, but
No, no, no.
yeah.
It's good. Yeah. Well, it was. We actually had an interesting question in the chat from Bert saying, it seems like you find that the AI products developed that are web based, that are billing themselves as BIM alternatives, already really half baked. True or not? Like it seems maybe Finch. I've heard from many people that it's actually one that works well. I've heard several people
Mm.
told me that they use it. So maybe that's an example of one that is not half baked, but it's not like a full replacement for BIM, right?
I mean, Finch has really good foundation, I feel, because it does do a really, really small task, okay? It only does residential buildings and it does no, it does integrate it has integration with like directly from Forma, from Rhinos or from massing. You can get into really fast showing, let's say, how a layout distribution would be of apartment, which is like really interesting because what we do care, or like what our clients do care at the beginning is like, okay, how many apartments can I get? And like so you can bake the mix that they give you, and then you get kind of um, a layout here, but it is. It is learning from our own plan distributions. So it's our own apartments that are teaching Finch kind of how what to do. And I think that's what is interesting is it will do the typical apartment that would be in Norway, right? So it's like we always, let's say, have an entrance, so we would put an entrance if you know that the uh, if you know that the corridor is this much, and then the table has to be like a side bed table has to be this far away from the bed, or it knows all this information already, so it's kind of really fast to create, and then you can directly export it to Revit, so you can work further with it. So I would not say that we use Finch yet like the finished product that we get from Finch directly, which is like the dream because it really has really nice graphics. But we are able to export something that is already really good to work on as a base.
Yeah, so it's Finch is great at developing apartment
Mm.
layouts. It's kind of a niche specific applications. But
Yeah,
to answer Bert's question, I don't think there's anything that can fully replace BIM that is like AI web native yet.
no, I don't think so either. And then like Forma, we do use a lot. Even if we have, let's say, a finished Revit model, we do fit it into Forma so we can get our wind analysis, noise analysis, and sun and shadow. So we really like works for us. It has really good integration. Like Norwegian terrain or geographical data is really like easy to get on Forma so that you can say you can already have contextual data and terrain and everything from it directly. Mhm. No, I froze. Okay. But yeah, I don't feel like anything is like working perfectly on its own. Did I lose you?
No, I'm still there. I just lost your screen share. If you want to put it back.
Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah. So while you're doing that, let's have a look at the chat. Yes, real Bodogo is saying a lot of current AI product exists because Autodesk hasn't released their version yet. Once they release their big AI update, it will definitely wipe out a lot of startups who charge a subscription. Do you have thoughts about that?
Yeah, can you just repeat that question?
Yeah, well, someone is saying that like there's a lot of new AI startups, but if Autodesk decide to build their own similar AI tools, it's just gonna wipe these startups. But my point is Autodesk is not that good at inventing new products. They're very good at acquiring products
Uh-huh.
and monetizing
Yeah,
them
I
and
agree.
marketing them. I don't very often see new Autodesk product that blow me away. Like they're good at doing updates to existing stuff. Like even Revit they've acquired. ACC was also acquired, I think. So they're good at acquiring and scaling. So maybe they'll just buy some of these startups actually. All right, are you still there, Maria? I think we might have some connection
I
issues.
think so too. But they do invest, I think, heavily on the Forma.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay, I think you're back. Let's go to your slide.
Okay. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so just I think these are our last slides here, but um, kind of to go through what it requires from a company, let's say to run an AI group in it is also kind of the management change. So you need to kind of align with stakeholders and have your leadership on board. I feel like it's also really hard sometimes to make a pilot like run a pilot in the office because you always have projects that are more important and you always have something that is like has to be delivered tomorrow or something. So it's really important to know why you're testing the tools you're testing and why are they as important as other projects. And also kind of to allow your junior designers to be part of the process. So that is, I feel like we're skipping a lot of the learning process for the junior designers at the moment, by all this innovation and technology happening. So I feel like it's very important to keep them in the loop as much as possible. And then, at least for us, an important thing is communication and training, and kind of share all the information we can with people. It's also, if you're forming an AI group, it's like it helps filter a lot of information that you find on the internet. So, I mean, if you're already doing it for the office, then it should be shared. And then make sure like costs are under control. Why are you doing the things you're doing? Because it has an impact on the company. And then the last is the kind of the learning stages that we're all understand that we're between this consciously unskilled and consciously unskilled. So we're not skilled yet. We're like to be skilled in something that is still developing is very hard, I think. So I
Yeah,
feel like
what does that mean? So I'm curious about this training. Unconsciously unskilled versus consciously unskilled. It's
when
like you don't know what you don't know.
you don't know what you don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, or you do know what you don't know. And it's like, I think the point is to know what you don't know so that you can get better at knowing. But understanding that that's where we are right now. I don't know, maybe a lot of people are really good in AI and I'm just like the one just trying to figure everything out. But I feel like a lot of us are in the same point. Not everyone who puts things on LinkedIn, or maybe, it's like a god in finding out like how to do things. I feel like everyone is just figuring out things.
Yeah, I think even some of the biggest AI experts are feel out of the loop, and I mean things are moving so fast. It's really hard to catch
Yeah,
up, right? But at least if you follow it,
that's it.
you can know that you don't know.
Yeah, well, that was it from my presentation.
All right, that was great. So if you have questions, now is the time to ask. Yeah, that's an interesting slide. I like that you had, as did Victoria last time she was here about AI. Let all these questions that are not hyped, are not overly discussed on LinkedIn, ethical questions, privacy questions, the fact that some of the tools don't work so well, the agentic workflows raises a lot of issues. There's a lot of startups, there's a lot of noise. Uh,
No, I feel like we have a lot of discussions about is our jobs gonna disappear in a few years, and it's really a question about keeping yourself like understanding what's happening more than like, I mean, if you don't feel like jumping on it, then at least like have a hand in like understanding what's happening so that you know that this space is gonna take over at some point because it's so big
mhm.
and it gives so much possibilities for a lot of things. Yeah, I would say don't stress, but keep learning.
So I love the idea of the AI group, and
Mm.
so you've discussed like the fun experiments, the learning part. So what would you advise like for someone that wanted to start maybe an AI or a tech group at their firms? Just like go see the associates and ask for
Yeah,
permission like to launch such a group.
I think it's a lot like it's a lot of people who like at least the companies want to adopt AI in some way because they have benefits from it when you have figured it out, let's say. So if you are a person who wants to be like into AI in your company, just go and ask for it, Maybe it helps to create a plan or to create some like early phase vision or something. But it really, I feel like people would not say no. And if they said no, then it's like maybe it's not the company you should be at, if that's what you're interested in.
Yeah,
Um,
I like that it can come from bottom up, like it's like
yeah.
the employees, the people, the company that can form a committee or something. I think it's better than top down. I've heard in other fields, I don't know if that's something in architecture, the boss would just say, implement AI, use this AI tool right now, even if it doesn't make sense. And the
Oh, but that's
workflows,
horrible.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So it's good that it comes organically from a committee that evaluate the tool, see how it can help and not help.
And also it's like it's a team that we kind of have expertise in each in our domain, let's say, but it's an area that's changing so much. So it's like you have to have people who are interested in it. It's like if you just said, okay, we need four people to test AI, it's like it would never happen, you know? It's like already really hard to kind of keep track of projects and have that on the side. So that yeah, I think people who are interested is really important.
Yeah, and if you're the boss or partner at a company, leaving some time, non-billable hours, like to people to experiment and have this is pretty important. I think some firms are good at that. Others
Yeah.
not so much. But it's always when I do consulting, I recommend to firms leave a chunk of non-billable hours for improvement and innovation.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a company that is really struggling with hours or they don't have the hours to spend on it, I would say just try to fit it into existing projects you have because it's always somewhere you can go.
Mhm.
If you do have the time to do it like internally, then that's great.
We have a question, and then we're going to close this from
Yeah.
Roxanne. Did you have to convince associates that the AI used for the company was secure, and how did you manage to do it?
We don't use projects that are confidential. So we have to keep like the information we're sharing with AI very controlled in a way, but they were really open to it. I don't. It's like if you think about, I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Norway you already have. Let's say when you apply for a building permit, you already share the PDFs or like the plans and the sections and everything about the building. You already share that publicly, so you can access it with entering, let's say, your ID number. A Finch, for example, can be taught plan designs by reading PDFs. So I mean, it's already like it can already learn from what is out there. So it's like if you do focus on maybe finished buildings to learn on, that's best because those are already, let's say, delivered. Um, but I feel like information is already shared. It's that we don't realize that.
Rock is following up by saying, aren't all projects confidential in some way? So how do you decide if a project is like confidential or not? I guess there's different levels, perhaps.
Yeah. I don't think all of them are. I think maybe it depends on what type of buildings you're building. Maybe if also your client is on board with it, because some clients are. Like I'm really surprised to see that the clients are like really want to implement AI. So I think there should be maybe be an agreement there with the client also, knowing that you were sharing this information with AI. But
Yeah.
also, it's like you can use tools that are more, they don't share your data, let's say, further. Yeah. So you choose your tools wisely, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the higher tier of ChatGPT, you can have settings where they don't use your what you provide for training, right? Like the free tier, definitely not. Don't use the free tier
Mm.
for your projects. But the more you pay, the more privacy you have.
Yeah, exactly. And there
Uh,
is like this hidden button that is like, do not share my data. Just
yeah,
always press that.
yeah, yeah. It's not active by default, right? So it's a bit sneaky. You have to check it out. All right, that's gonna be it for today. Just a couple of things to mention before we close this out. Thanks to Guardian for Revit for sponsoring this episode of BIM Pure Live. Next week, we're not having a BIM Pure Live episode on YouTube, but we have live master class for the BIM Pure members. So subscribe, enroll to BIM Pure, and we'll get 2 episodes with Paul Oben. And we'll talk about advanced Revit modeling with the Snowden Towers project and advanced roofs. So that's next Wednesday and the one after that. And the BIM Pure Live episode is going to be on April 1st. More details coming soon about it. What else do I have to mention? Other than that, yeah, check out all of the new stuff that we have on the BIM Pure membership, including the new Cracework collection, multiple live events, and all sorts of good stuff coming soon. Back to you, Maria. That was great. Super interesting to see how you're thinking about all of these issues without just the hype and FOMO. That was super thoughtful and interesting, and makes me want to try these tools even more. Any
Yeah.
final words or requests or things that you want to shout out to mention?
It was great to be part of your podcast. I'm very happy that we got to do this. I hope more people lose the fear of testing stuff and also don't feel the FOMO, let's say, of like having to do it just because of everyone else is testing. Yeah, just feel free and have fun with it.
All right, great final words. Thank you so much to everyone for watching live. Thank you, Maria, and see you in the coming weeks. Goodbye.
Thank you. See you.